and I am joined with my co-host.
Nathan Taylor.
All right, today, Nathan, we have a special guest, Justin Slagle. I say that correctly?
Yep.
All right, perfect. And Justin, venturing out in his own world, he is co-founder, CEO of the Partner Masters. So, Justin, please help us understand what you do and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. Nice to see you both. And so Justin Slagle, I've been in the Microsoft world for actually almost 20 years now. I started as a Microsoft partner. I was part of Microsoft Learning Channel, had a Microsoft Learning business. I was a minority owner in that business. We sold the business in 2012. And in 2012, after exiting, I went to Microsoft, and I've been in the partner world ever since, right? So I was part of the old US SMB team with Cindy Bates, and then we became one commercial partner, and then global partner solutions. So I've basically run the gamut on the partner side. And then about a year and a half ago, my business partner Matt Sosman and I decided, look, as this business is getting much bigger, what was happening at Microsoft was there's a lot of partners, 466,000 Microsoft partners. And if you look at the Americas, which is now, it's not US, now it's Americas, there's about 125,000 partners in the Americas. But the US GPS team covers about 500.
Yeah.
And so there's this massive amount of partners that there's no more NPN, like 1-800-NPN-SOLVE doesn't work anymore. There's no NPN-SOLVE at Microsoft.com. So what we saw was that there's an opportunity for us to go out and work with all partners, whether they're managed or not, to help them build a more profitable Microsoft practice. And that was the goal of the business. Let's go help all Microsoft partners. So we still look. I will tell you guys, and this is not a joke. People think I'm joking when I say this. My son's name is Maverick Bing. I'm all in with Microsoft, right?
Are you sure? That wasn't like a Friends reference?
No,
Chandler
no,
Bing?
it was not. No. So I mean, the reality is, we wouldn't have my little guy if it weren't for the Microsoft fertility benefits, right? So we wanted him to know that. We always be recalled. We actually gave up, and we got a postcard in the mail that said, "Hey, we know that you've maxed out your fertility benefits, but we're changing our plan next year. We'll pay 100% if you try again."
Wow.
And so we tried one more time. We got one embryo, and it worked out. So, so we're Microsoft all the way through, and my passion is around Microsoft. My business partner Matt, his passion is around Microsoft. He's on the technical side. He started with Microsoft Consulting Services. He was part of the security engineering team. He was an architect for GPS as well for partners. And so we wanted to go out and build a business that would help partners understand there's so much potential here. And you don't even have to go outside the Microsoft world. We believe that the deeper we go with Microsoft, the more we figure out you're never getting to the bottom of this ocean.
Yeah. Well, Brandon, you and I in our businesses, as an employee of Machine Logic for many years, you at Uncommon Solutions, we experienced this 5 years ago. Both of us were small, 25, 30 person managed partners. We had a PDM at Microsoft. We had goals. We were meeting with them monthly. We were going to Ignite. There were all these partner engagements that you could have. And I feel like for every year for the last 5 years, they eliminate 90% of the managed partners. And you go from one number to another number. And, I think a lot of that management seemed to have been pushed off to the Pax8s of the world, where they really want the Pax8s to manage the small partners. But it's changed the game for us partners that are on the smaller side, but very Microsoft focused.
Yeah, I mean, Nathan, sorry, Justin. I mean, we don't know each other, but I will say this: I know you've met through Nathan. That's a really weird chasm. It's great to meet you because we bought into the Microsoft Kool-Aid where we had a rep, right? We were a managed partner. We had someone from Microsoft and the DTC in our office almost every week. And we were landing deals left and right. And we really went more mid-market. And that was pretty lucrative. But once you lose that, I guess, fountain, we had to refine our identity and go back to more MSP style. And you get lost because the navigating the whole Microsoft, now you need to build a package. You need to be part of this. It was nuts. And it's still changing on a daily basis. So even us trying to translate licensing is insane for to a smaller business. So yeah, I'd love to learn more about what you guys do.
Yeah. Well, look, the thing is, and what I'd love to get across to partners, and I think we're doing an okay job, is you don't have to have a PDM, right? And Microsoft has actually set it up. Look, it's the same thing. Like, it's almost like if I said this to a technical person, like, you don't actually have to go find an integrator to do this stuff. It's there. You can go sign up online. Good luck, right? Or you can go find an integrator who's going to help you do this. I oftentimes compare our business to taxes because everybody has to pay taxes, right? You can go to the IRS website and you can download. They have a 5,500 page guide. The first 50 pages are about the taxes you pay, and the next 5,450 pages about how you can save money on taxes. Who's going to go read that, right?
No.
So what you do is you go hire a CPA, and the CPA says, do this, do this, do this, do this, and all of a sudden you owe less money in taxes. That's how I feel about Microsoft. Yeah. Microsoft has 1 million pages on learn.microsoft.com. Who's going to go read all of it, right? So,
Copilot?
Well, Copilot can read it, but Copilot's going to hallucinate as well, right? Yeah, that's AI. So we know how those systems work. We have 20 people on the team. 18 of them came from Microsoft. So we know what it's like on the inside. And so we can translate those 1 million pages that are out on Learn. We can say, hey, Brandon, look, most partners don't know that there's all these different incentive programs. We can help you go achieve your modern work solution designation. We can help you achieve your security solution designation. And when you get security, there's 2 things that Microsoft gives you right off the bat. You can go deliver a $6,500 threat protection engagement to customers. You can deliver a $6,500 data security assessment to customers. And it doesn't cost them anything. They just pay you. So it's $13,000 for every customer you can go find. And then, hey, we can go help you achieve all these other things. What's been really great for me to see as we've done this and we've started to scale this out is the number of partners who are coming back. Hey, we just got $100,000. There was one partner in the first 6 months, they got $600,000 of incentives from Microsoft, right? Yeah. In that engagement, it was, they paid us about $30,000, $5,000 a month for 6 months. They got $600,000 in return. Now, not everybody gets that, right? I'm not saying that that's typical, but there's partners who get more, and there's partners that, hey, maybe you pay us and you only get $50,000 back. There's so much opportunity out there with the AM funding, with the Azure Innovate. I don't know if you guys or anybody listening has used Azure Innovate, but that's like free money, right? The age of AI that we're in right now, and you can go spin up a proof of concept and Microsoft will pay you $15,000 to go do a proof of concept for AI. Like, who's going to turn that down? But you got to go qualify for it. And there's a couple of easy steps to help make you qualify, because Microsoft doesn't want to just give it to anybody. They want to make sure that it's somebody who actually knows what AI is if they're going to give the money.
Justin, I have one question. So I have noticed that they have shifted, right? Like, so Nathan, you said something earlier where, we're more aligned with Arrow. We kind of stayed with them as Pax8 broke off of them as their, partner, and they just treat us really nice because we stuck with them. I'll go with it. However, I've noticed they've hired a lot of Microsoft people recently that run. It's almost like they're the new PDM.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is that kind of the thing you guys see too? Like, where Pax8's more your PDM?
They're somewhat PDMs in that, like, Pax8 is helping people navigate the base level of Microsoft partnership. They're navigating some of that and they're helping sell the products. But the other thing that Microsoft's done is they've moved the bar for how you get a lot of these things, right? You got to be of a certain critical mass to unlock incentives, right? And so I think, when you look at a Pax8, the majority of their partners are on the very base level where they're getting some basic incentives, but they're not hitting those specializations or advanced specializations. They're really low level. And so they provide really good help to the broad market. But as soon as you get into a higher level of engagement, and as like you said, Justin, you want to unlock that next level. I loved your illustration of the tax code. Like, that's a really good illustration. Trying to keep up with Microsoft changes and programs is like reading tax information. It puts me to sleep, and it changes every 2 weeks. I can't do it. I just don't have the time or the emotional energy to do it. And having somebody like you, where your team is just living and breathing it and understands it and can just take it and put it in a concise format is a game changer.
Well, it's very similar to what you guys do, right? So as MSPs, you're going out and you've got hundreds of customers, and within those hundreds of customers, if there's something that happens, immediately you can go talk to all your other customers and you can spread that out, right? We work with about 150 Microsoft partners right now. So of those 150 Microsoft partners, if something happens in one, guess what? We can deploy that to all the other partners quickly.
Yeah.
Where there's nobody else offering that type of service. And we do complement like what a Pax8 or an Arrow or a Crayon or Ingram Micro, because they're really focused on helping you guys sell licensing.
Yeah,
we can help a little bit with that, but the nuances of the licensing is something that we try to just, hey, let's push back to the CSP providers. What we're trying to help you figure out is operationally, how do we do these things? Or we have partners who say, look, we're selling Azure, but we don't have an Azure managed service. We don't specifically have that. Can you help us build that? Right. Hey, we're thinking about building an MSSP service. Can you help us build that? Sure, we'll help you build that. And then we're going to build it in such a way that's repeatable. Then we're going to help you go put it into the marketplace. And then you can have transactable offers in the marketplace. And what people don't understand about marketplace, that's how Microsoft knows what you do. Right. If you don't have solutions in marketplace, anybody at Microsoft looks at you and says, I have no idea what Brandon does. I have no idea what Nathan does. But if you have in there, even if it's just a consulting offer, hey, we do Copilot adoption services. Great. Now we know what you do. Now, if you can take that and you can make transactable offers, you can think about the repeatable IP that you have. Like, you can make anything a SaaS offer, right? And SaaS is, I mean, I think, I was at a conference where, they were talking about SaaS is becoming more agents as a service. And I think that that's a whole nother opportunity for us to talk about is, hey, you go talk to all the SaaS providers. How do we turn the SaaS into agents as a service? Massive opportunity around AI. But if you go put these things in marketplace, now all of a sudden the sellers are making more money from selling your stuff. And in fact, it costs the customer half. And this is one thing I've started realizing probably the last 18 months is when you get something to IP co-sell and MAC eligible, when you're selling to a customer that has a Microsoft Azure customer commitment, let's say they have $1 million commitment to Microsoft and your solution is $100,000. If it's MAC eligible, it comes off the $1 million, right? So they only owe another $900,000 to Microsoft. If it's not, they have to pay $1 million to Microsoft and $100,000 to you. So your $100,000 solution just cost the customer $200,000. So you have to do this. And so many partners think I'm a services partner, so I can't do marketplace. And it's actually the opposite. Like if you're a services partner, you have to figure out how to do this because that's how you're going to go up market and that's how you're going to make those connections with Microsoft.
No, I think that's awesome, Justin. I think a lot of MSPs could, learn from this, right? Because that is the hard transition, going from more of the, a PDM or those styles to something along those lines, right? Because it was really hard to transition to that because you can't talk to a person anymore. You have to go co-sell. Like, oh, they'll throw your package in here. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just a package something. What does that look like? And so I guess it would be really helpful for someone like you. Do you guys do survey, like help them, like MSPs get certified for like designations? Because like a lot of those you have to have third party review to make sure that you know how to do those designations.
Well, the third party audit is more for the specializations.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. For the solution designations, a lot of times I hear partners say, "Oh, it's too hard. It's too hard to figure this stuff out." The reality is, if you know it really well, they're actually really easy, and Microsoft's actually making them easier. I mean, if you take modern work as an example, like you've got to have at least a customer, right? And a lot of times what happens is CSP partners forget that you should be doing CPOR claims on your CSP, right? If you do CPOR, you get twice as many points. So just go do CPOR claims on your CSP customers. Your numbers are going to go up.
And then for those listeners, CPOR is partner of record.
Claiming partner. Yeah. And then on the certification side, like the intermediate cert is an MS900. You can do some of the more advanced stuff, but MS900, well, that's like the salesperson exam. If you've been selling this stuff for a while, you should at least be able to take that, right? And then what's funny is on the advanced cert, there's one that says Teams Meeting Assessment. That's an online quiz. You can take it as many times you need to. It's like 30 questions long. It's easy, right? So getting that, like when partners say I can't get a solution designation, that one's easy.
Well,
go get that.
Well, so I want to hit this topic because this is really relevant for a lot of my peers. So we were at the I've had the privilege for a number of years being a part of the Microsoft CSP Partner Council. So we get to go to Redmond every year for a week, and we just sit down and go to market teams, come and talk to us, incentive teams, all these different teams from Microsoft come and say, hey, you're 25 of our best partners from around the world. We want to run some things by you. And the partners in the room are from all over the world, Brazil and India and Europe. We had Patrick on the podcast a couple weeks ago. He's from Sweden. Nigel from Nitec in Ireland. these are some of the best partners I've ever met. Just my respect for them and their businesses is through the roof. And at this most recent partner advisory council in October, a couple of us asked, we said, who in the room, raise your hand if you're struggling to get your solutions partner designations renewed. And 23 out of 25 top flight partners in the world said, I'm at risk.
Wow.
And it was shocking to me because these are the best of the best. These are people, you know Nigel at Nitech, and he's a really good friend of mine. You guys helped them a ton with this, but they are the best Microsoft partner I know. There's 70 people. They live and breathe Microsoft. Every customer has Sentinel deployed. They're all on Business Premium. They're doing conditional access. They got trusted devices, and like they have drank the Kool-Aid. So much Kool-Aid. They make the Kool-Aid there. That's how much they drink. And they were at risk because they weren't growing. They were just servicing a pile of customers incredibly well. But since they're not adding new logos, the default metric said, you guys are at risk. Now, you guys came through and you gave them a couple recommendations, and then they went and crushed those recommendations in a couple of days. They PAL tagged every tenant. They CPOR claimed every tenant. And a month later, they've got their solutions partner designations. And it's a big deal. You lose that designation, you lose your IURs, you lose your status with Microsoft. He was very, very worried, and you guys just really helped him out a lot. But I thought that was a really important data point, that in a room with the best partners in the world, they're all struggling to execute on this. And we had conversations with Microsoft and the partner team, and we said, hey, you guys have talked about having some more SMB-friendly metrics. When are those coming? And the body language was not good. They're struggling with it. Microsoft has a million things they're trying to do, and AI and security trump everything, and it's really delaying a lot of other things. And it was clear that they're not going to solve this for partners from their perspective. So we all have to start working together to solve it. And I think you guys do an amazing job with that.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for sending Nigel our way. And I definitely want to do a case study with Nigel, because I mean that's a perfect example, right? Somebody who thought that they were at risk, but really it just took a couple of little tweaks. Hey, just go do a couple of little things. I mean, that's why you hire a CPA for your taxes, right? Hey, you do a couple of little things, you save tens of thousands of dollars. Like in this case, it literally is tens of thousands of dollars if he loses his IUR. It is thousands of dollars if he doesn't qualify for the funding programs that he's leveraging. So yeah, I mean, and Brandon, to your point about audits earlier, like the solution designations are, in my opinion, they're like the old silver program, right? The specializations are more like the gold program. And to get to the gold program on the Azure side, you have to do a third-party audit, and partners freak out. You have to pay for it. You got to prepare for it. It takes months for you guys to get the teams together to do this. And again, it's not really that hard if you understand the process. And so we walk partners through a prep so that, hey, let's make sure you got this. And Nathan, on your team, like we even went so far to say, hey, you got to create a transactable offer, and you create a transactable offer. Like I think the story from SourcePass was the audit that's supposed to take 4 hours took 45 minutes, because it's like all the auditor is really looking for is, do you have a repeatable process? Well, we have a marketplace offer. You click this button right here and it deploys in the customer tenant. How much more repeatable can you get?
Yeah. Big shout out to a few of the team members, Matthew and Mike, and a few others that just worked really hard on that. But yeah, it's a very intimidating thing, but there are ways to really simplify it. And that's where you guys come in, is you guys have the answers on that. You can help us navigate all that, and it's invaluable. So
I think it's great. Yeah. Honestly, Justin, I wish I had you guys a couple of years ago. Especially as everything shifted, it's not easy trying to navigate Microsoft on. It's like a full-time job.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other part of the solution that Matt and I are trying to build, is that it's, even if you have a person, it's not enough, right?
No, it isn't.
Because that one person, like there was one of the partners who came to me and said, hey, I want to go create an alliance person role. Can you help me create a job description? And it ended up being like a 3-page thing of, hey, here's all the things you need to do. Well, what's nice about having a service is I've got all the people who can do all these things. Because one of the big challenges I had, again, we're only a year and a half old, but one of the challenges I had in the very beginning of the business is, like, I've been doing this forever, right? Matt's been doing this forever. So for us, like, we can rattle this stuff off, but going and finding somebody, even the people who we hire from Microsoft, they don't know all this stuff.
Yes.
So then it's like, all right, well, the challenge is I'm going to go give you 4, 5, 10 partners, however many, And you have to know this laundry list of stuff for every one of those partners. And we had to do what we had to do in the beginning. But now that we're getting to a little bit of scale, now we can say, okay, you need to know these 4 or 5 things, and you need to know these 4 or 5 things, and you need to know these 4 or 5 things, and we're going to work as a team. And now we can service more partners, because having one person, it's almost a recipe for disaster, right? Hey, your job is to be the Microsoft Alliance person. I need to do licensing. I need you to be on all the calls. I need to do all the referrals. I need to do all the incentive, all the go do all the proof of execution, help our team do all the audits, make sure you're sharing the referrals, go work with the Microsoft sellers. You can't do all of that. One person can't do that. But as a service, we can make all those things easy.
Yeah.
That's amazing, Justin. So I have to ask you a question. You said you've been in business for a year and a half. Can you tell us more about that? How it's been?
I will say it was definitely something. I'd been a business owner, a minority business owner. I never started a business on my own.
Right.
I shouldn't say that. I actually did. When I was like 19, I started a valet dry cleaning business that I should have hung on to now. But so this is something Matt and I talked about for a long time. What do we want to do? And then finally, opportunity came about, and it was like, you know what? We're getting older. We just have to take a chance. But for me, look, I've got my wife stays home with the kids. I've got a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old who I guess they were 4 and 9 when we started this business. And I had a really nice job at Microsoft, high-paying job. Most people would say you're nuts for leaving that job to go start a business and kind of rolling the dice. But I always had that entrepreneur mindset, and I think that's what made me pretty good at Microsoft. But it's also what makes me so fulfilled now, being 18 months into the business and being able to say, hey, that was the other thing. Matt and I had to make a decision. There were Microsoft was going through layoffs, and so some of my peers got laid off. I had to lay off some people at Microsoft, and that was hard. It was hard to go through, but we had to make a decision. Some of them decided, hey, I'm going to go offer a similar service, like a PDM as a service type role, and they wanted to have a job. And Matt and I could have probably made a really good job for ourselves and replaced our incomes and just said, hey, we want to work with 5 to 10 partners and we'll have a good income from that. But we decided we want to build a business. We want to build something that's scalable and actually solves a problem. And that's even going to be riskier, because then everything that we make, we have to reinvest back into the business to be able to grow this thing to where we can achieve these goals. So it was certainly a challenge, and it was certainly tough conversations for me with my family saying, hey, we can't go on vacations for a little while. Hey, we're just going to be a little lean around here for a little bit. But now looking forward at what we've done and where we're going, and it's been incredible. And I will tell you, I went up to Microsoft GPS offsite. It was back in February, so what was it, 9 months ago? And my old VP, Jim Lee, he shook my hand. He's like, the best thing that ever happened was that you left Microsoft.
Yeah. Yes.
And what a great compliment, right? Who would ever thought? We're helping solve. We are truly. I mean, I feel good about that every night, that we're helping solve a massive issue, and I look forward to what's to come. Because there's just an unlimited amount of opportunity for all of us.
Yeah.
I can see Microsoft buying you, and then you become Microsoft again.
Oh no! Don't let Microsoft buy you.
Here's another thing that's interesting. So there was a friend of mine at Microsoft who joined our team as a contractor for a while. We knew it was going to be a stopgap. So he was going to go back to Microsoft, and he did just go back to Microsoft, which was great. And then he just sent me a message. I think it was last night or the night before. Because he's back in a partner role, but he was at Microsoft on and off for about 20 years. And then he came and worked with us for about a year. And now back at Microsoft, he's like, working at TPM was like getting an MBA in partner, because you don't get to see this stuff, right? When you're on the Microsoft side, you think, hey, all these cool dashboards I see is exactly what partners see. And no, it's not.
No.
Oh, here's all the things partners just have to go do these little things to go do a CPOR claim, or to do a PAL tagging, or how you talk to customers, or how you get a solution designation. When you're out here on this side, and then you're working with all these partners, you see how hard it actually is. Mm-hmm. Then you go back to Microsoft, you can actually make change. Yeah. I give a lot of credit to Microsoft. For 10 and a half years of my life, I learned a lot. The last year and a half that I've been out of Microsoft, I've more than doubled the amount of information that I learned.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I always laugh at our PAC meetings, because you'll get some person from the Dynamics team or the Power team, and they're like, hey, all you MSPs, you guys are selling Office 365 and Azure. Why are you doing Power BI, ERP, CRM, automation, and low code? You just look at them and go, you don't have a stinking clue about any of the words you just said. You don't have an understanding of all of the back-end processes required of an ERP firm has a stack of people that an MSP doesn't. Like the go-to-market motion is different, the customer engagement. And, like you said, there's a lot of times those teams at Microsoft, they're like, man, this Dynamics CRM is the best thing in the world. It can, it can do anything you want. Just put it to work, and everybody should sell it. And it can be really hard to get them to have that understanding of all the layers we're dealing with, of the many hats an MSP has to wear between productivity and cloud and networking and security and business and automation. And it's so much. And sometimes you can tell it's just, they're not able to see it just from the world they have, because everything they have is this, the same, it was an echo chamber on the product they're focused on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, it's true. Like they say that like there's a Redmond bubble. And when you live inside that world, it is a different world. Which is, look, there's good and bad to it. I mean, the good is that they can continue to innovate, and they can continue to stay focused on all of their line items, and make sure that their scorecard is green on every item, and create programs and do different things. So there's good and having a diverse audience of people who are in the bubble and people who know reality and can help come together. That's what makes this whole ecosystem so special.
Yeah. And to give them credit, the fact that they were at our PAC, our Partner Advisory Council, is they're going, hey, I know I'm in an echo chamber. Can you tell me what you see?
Yep.
And they invite people like me that give unfiltered responses, and usually they respond well to that, but you never know. Well, let's talk about a couple more current Microsoft things. So this week, this episode probably won't release for a couple weeks, but we're a week away from Microsoft Ignite, and with Ignite coming, Microsoft is announcing all kinds of things, some of which are pretty disruptive. So lots of big news coming from Microsoft this week.
There is a lot. So where are you going? Which one do you want to talk about?
I think the one that's going to cause the most trouble for our world is a 5% increase across the board on every license. That's a lot. Going to be a lot to swallow for a lot of partners.
Okay, but when you say 5% increase, it's not 5% on everything, right? It's 5% of annual deals sold monthly.
Correct, which is 95% of the licenses sold in the MSP space.
Okay.
So there's very few MSPs who have customers that will pay up front for their licensing. We built our entire industry on the monthly fee model. I charge you per user per month. Office 365 is monthly. Antivirus is monthly. You name it, it's monthly per user, and so that's how Microsoft lives in our space. So it's a very enterprise lens decision, in my opinion, where they're like, oh, the companies that pay up front will be fine. Yeah, that's not the SMB space.
Yeah, well, there's a few things, and the one thing that I love about what's happening is that Microsoft has finally gotten to this point that I was at Microsoft when they started this process, and it all started with NCE. Right, so the new customer experience with CSP, that was a nightmare. I know, like I can see you.
Bad word.
Me even saying it. But the idea of NCE was we're going to have a common licensing platform, and so EA moving to MCAE, online purchasing, and CSP all being on a common platform. So when you say 5%, it's not just 5% for CSP. It's going to be a stable license across everything, so that you're no longer saying, okay, we're going to go sell this. And if it's a bigger customer, that they qualified for an EA, like it's going to be the same pricing now, right? So you're not going to say, oh, well, they're giving a 20% discount because they're going to an EA, and I got to compete against that. It's going to be like for like, no matter which vehicle. So if there's one positive out of it, that's it, right?
Sure.
The other thing is that like you do have options. Like if you want to help the customer do financing, hey, you want to pay monthly? Great, let's get a bank to come in here and do that, and you're going to save a little bit of money by paying annually. So I think there's other things that you can look at business-wise, but I totally get it. But the other part you have to look at is the really positive part of the enterprise agreements being phased out.
Yes,
right.
We're very excited about that.
Yeah. Yes. So if you think about so really it's like, I mean, they're focused on 2,500 and less, but even under 6,000 seats, the incentives for LSPs to sell these agreements are pretty much going to nothing. And so the idea is, hey, now this opens up an entire world for you to go get some multi-million-dollar licensing agreements that has never been there before. These customers are going to have to go somewhere. And Microsoft is saying, look, you can sign an MCAE with us. Support's probably not going to be very good because our team's not going to have the bandwidth to support you, and your technical support's not going to be that good. Or you can go with one of our partners through CSP, who you get phenomenal support from. And if you go that direction, they'll do your licensing, they'll do your support, they'll do it all. hopefully that offsets kind of the, okay, I don't like that they just raised the price 5%. But even if raising the price 5%, guess what? You get to make more money because you're making money off the top line as well.
Yeah, no, we're really excited about that EA opportunity, like you said. Opening up that, it used to be if you were over 500, I wasn't sure if I could sell you licenses, and then moved to 2,500, 3,000. Now that it's going to 6,000 for those of us that thrive in that space, it's a huge opportunity. We're very excited about it, and I think a lot of the businesses are going to do better because that 3-year EA locked you into license counts with no flexibility. And on a CSP, I can give you monthly, I can give you an annual, we can mix and match, we can, true up every year. I think a lot of businesses are going to save a ton of money on their Microsoft licensing because that EA was not a flexible or customer-friendly, licensing agreement unless you really wanted to lock in your costs for 3 years. That was the only upside.
Yeah. Well, there were a couple other upsides to it, like you could when you go to your true up, like if let's say you had a 500 user EA, you could go to 550, you could go to 575, you could go back to 550, and then whatever you're on that annual true up, that's what you have to lock in at for the next year. So there's a little bit of license flexibility, but not as nice as CSP is going to be.
Yeah.
But the other thing that's going to be really nice for you, it's like you were saying, you built your whole model on this month to month. Well, those customers coming off EAs are used to paying annually.
That's a really good call out. I appreciate that.
Good point. Yeah, it was kind of nice when one of my biggest, one of bigger clients around the Denver area, they called us and they said, "Hey, my rep from Microsoft won't even call me back. Wow. Like, we need these licenses now." And I was like, "We got you." But so just letting you know, that was pretty funny. I liked it.
What are you guys seeing as far as like the AI opportunity that's out there?
I think that it's happening, but slowly. I think that people are still just trying to chew down how it can help their business. At least from my perspective, the bigger, more in tune people, or more in tune companies want to probably build out their own system. And what does that look like? How much does it cost? So now we're digging into specialties of building their own, internal systems to, co-pilot their stuff. It's very different. But I think it's going to catch on pretty fast, and we're trying to, stay ahead of it for sure.
Yeah, we're seeing a strong interest, but I think people recognize the challenge, which is data governance in the SMB space.
Yep.
Right. All of a sudden, AI just accelerates your data governance risk if it instantly exposes it. And I think we're going to release an episode here in the next week with Brian Becker, and he did a really good job of talking through that and got some great perspective. But that's what we're finding in the small business space. People love it, want to play with it, and they are very worried about it. And so it's a mixed bag of success on selling it. We have some customers who drank the Kool-Aid. Yeah. We love AI and Copilot internally. It's a game changer. But it is definitely a challenging conversation because people recognize how much of a paradigm shift it is and are worried about that piece.
Well, just to top onto that, what I have actually been more lucrative with is that once we put this into place, they want to use AI in their SharePoint environment or whatever to search the area. So it now becomes, can you help us organize our data properly so we can search it or do whatever we're going to do properly? So I try to use that as more of an opportunity once we actually get in there. So it's kind of turned around. Or can you move my data before we start buying into this? That's where it's really turned into.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm seeing kind of across the board is that the AI conversation is driving the whole rest of the Microsoft conversation, right? So you both just nailed it, right? So you go have an AI conversation, and then all of a sudden you start showing them all the security risk. And it's like, okay, now we got to go do a security.
Security,
Okay, now all your file structure is all wrong. Now we got to go back and do that. Yep. And then you start getting them with Copilot, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, can we extend this to our third-party app? Okay, well that's Copilot Studio. Okay, well now we can go to Copilot Studio. Oh no, you want to escalate to a live agent? Oh well, that's Omnichannel, so we got to go to Dynamics, right? So now this whole story starts coming together. But so Nathan, you mentioned you guys are using it internally. Brant, are you using a Copilot and other AI products internally?
Oh, we're full Copilot. We've been doing it for a year. We have a development team on our side too, so they're starting to dig into, Copilot Studio and what is that going to take on. So we're waiting for at least a couple clients to buy into that. But now, like I said, we're more or less trying to organize their data, and then it's going to go into the next realm.
Yeah,
But
I think this is where, like, for everybody listening, like, you have, like, the number one thing that we coach partners on, use it.
yeah,
Like, if you don't use it, you
Yes.
can't tell the story, right? It's like, you know, we have people who they're trying to sell Microsoft 365, and then they send us a Google Meet invite.
yeah,
Right?
a Zoom video.
Yeah, they send us a Zoom call, and it's like, really,
Yeah.
like, if you want to sell this stuff, you have to go use it. And so
Yes.
you have to be that thought leader. Use it internally. Create your own case studies.
Yes.
Start sharing those out with customers. And then, do you guys know about the SMB Copilot briefings?
Yes, you've helped us run a couple.
Yep.
Okay, good. Do you know about them, Brandon?
Oh yeah, we've done. I think like I don't know 10.
Okay, awesome. So for people who are listening who don't know,
Yeah,
Microsoft has a program that if you're a CSP reseller, you qualify.
Yeah,
you can go sign up, and Microsoft will pay you $1,500 to do a 1-hour Copilot briefing with 3 customers. So you've got to have 3 unique individuals in there, and one of the 3 has to fill out a survey at the end. If you do that,
just to be clear, you have to have the Microsoft ID and all that other stuff too. So they have to be in your CSP, and there's a lot more to it. Just
they don't have to be in your CSP.
Yeah,
they don't have to be in your CSP. I do them all the time. We don't sell the CSP licensing to the partners, and actually partners are customers in this scenario. So we go do CSP briefings to teach partners how to do CSP briefings, and we get paid for that.
Man, I'm gonna talk to you after this.
There's an exhibit meme here. Hey, bro, would you like me to talk to you? I hear you like Copilot. You want to talk about Copilot?
Oh man.
Well, and Copilot's another topic. We finally have monthly billing for that. That's huge. That was really a big blocker in the small business space. That we talked earlier about. Most of my customers want to pay monthly, and the second I go to an annual on anything, the big issue is that becomes a capital outlay, and now the CFO has input. If I'm just adding a license at $30 a month, and I add another one next month, and I add another one next month, most of the IT departments can make that decision themselves, and they can start to iterate in. As soon as I have to drop 360 once, now I got to get a PO and get approval, and that's really going to make a big difference on adoption in the small business space, this monthly pricing. And the 5% premium just won't change much.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree. I think that's a big one. And the other thing that they announced was I think starting January or April, I can't remember which it is, but 15% off of E5. So again, going back to what we talked about, the Copilot is driving security conversations. Driving E5 is going to be a big deal. And now if you move those customers to E5, they have a nice discount program too. So I like both of those. I think you're right. The monthly Copilot is a huge deal. Probably the biggest of that announcement.
Let me throw one more plug for you guys. The other thing you guys help with is a lot of the back end figuring out your Microsoft platform. I've heard from you guys how many partners don't know that they have co-op dollars and don't know that if they don't claim those in the 6 months they're available, they're just gone. And that's 40% of your rebate dollars. You guys are great at helping navigate that complicated program. And, we had to merge 14 different partner centers into one, which is a lot of work. It's a lot of details. And your guys' help on that was invaluable. We would not have survived some of that without your help. So you guys have a lot of things you can add to, especially kind of the growth partners that are really trying to go deeper. So much value there.
Well, I think the co-op thing, if everybody who's listening, like, go look. If you don't think you have co-op, just go look. Because I have partners literally who have $100,000. They have $100,000 plus every 6 months, and then we show it to them. We're like, oh, we didn't even know that was there. And it's not like if you don't use it, it goes into a kitty where other partners can use it. It goes exactly to the Microsoft's bottom line. So they don't care if you don't use it. Amy Hood gets to report it as profit on the quarterly earning call, right?
Yes.
Go look. It's your money. Like, if you sell CSP, you're getting a rebate, right? And 60% of that's going to come to you in cash every month. 40% goes into a little bank account for you. And then you have to go in. If it goes over $10,000, you have to go in and specifically leverage those dollars. If it's under $10,000, we get a lot of other partners who are like, oh, we get $1,000 and $1,200. All of a sudden we get like $6,000. And we can't figure out why. And then it goes back. Well, what happens is you didn't qualify for the $10,000, so you get a one-time payout. And so that's why you have that big blip. But we can help you understand what those things are. Just my ask is make sure that if you have co-op, you know that it's there and don't lose it.
Yep. And claiming it, it can look very complicated, but you guys break it down into, hey, here's the 3 or 4 ways that are really intuitive to do it. We'll help you with the paperwork. Claim it this way. We'll babysit it for you. It's a game changer for us larger partners. There's a lot of cash to claim there, and claiming it properly is a bit of work, and having somebody a friend to phone is a really helpful thing.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I know, Justin, we're about to wrap up, so I just have a couple things. Number one, we're gonna reintroduce this. Nathan and I we're trying to figure out something cool. What's your favorite food?
My favorite. Oh man, I'm a foodie. Well, actually, I guess I can say this because I was just looking. Somebody just sent me this wine dinner thing. It's Camus wine with Chuck Wagner actually doing a presentation of the wine, but it has Wagyu, a Japanese A5 Wagyu. So that's got to be at the top of the list.
Love steak. All right, and number two. Honestly, it's been a pleasure listening to you, and I'm probably going to reach out after this conversation because I learned a lot, just like I'm hoping other partners have out there. How do we get a hold of you?
Justin at thepartnermasters.com. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, just Justin Slagle. But yeah, I look forward to talking to you, Brandon, or talking to other partners. Again, like it's my passion to try to figure this out. We're coming out with a lot of new programs in 2025. We'll have a whole freemium model to allow partners to get into our program, to hear some of our resources and give you some of those things. So anybody who's interested, just reach out and we'll get you plugged in.
Awesome. And for all our listeners, on the post, we'll definitely post, your site and your information on there, how to get a hold of you. So really appreciate your time. And we hope to see you next time. And for our listeners, please don't forget, please make comments, please subscribe, and please participate so that we can get a bigger audience.
Yeah, please do. So they invite me back.
Yeah.
Thank you, Justin.
Thanks, Justin.
Perfect.